Welcome everyone to the Town of Greater Napanee Special Session of Council for the third day of February 2026. Just before we call the meeting to order, I'd like to remind everyone that this evening meeting is being live streamed via our YouTube channel. So welcome to those that are here in the council chambers, welcome to those that are watching at home, and welcome to those that will watch us at a later date. Having said that, we'll begin the meeting with the opening proceedings, the playing of our national anthem. Thank you, everyone. Jumping right into our agenda, we'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Deputy Mayor Calvert. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, items for discussion, the 2026 budget. And Ms. Hamill, are you going to speak to that, I'm guessing? So whenever you get up to the front desk, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. So this is our third budget meeting for 2026, and I do expect that this meeting will be shorter than our other ones. I'm just going to start by going over some of the high-level highlights, and then we'll turn it over for any questions from council. You'll see later on in the agenda, we have one proposed amendment for council's consideration, and then we'll have an opportunity to table any new amendments if there are any, and ultimately we'll be looking for a motion from council to end the amendment period if that's what they wish to do, and that would then provide the opportunity for the budget to be deemed adopted later this week if there's no further discussion to be had. So that's just kind of what we're looking at going forward. So just to go over what we had discussed earlier in January. So you were presented the proposed 2026 operating capital budgets for the town and also the utilities budget. These presentations came after a lot of collaboration and work between the finance team, CLT, and the mayor. And there were a number of pre-budget reports that were given to members of council to help ease some of the discussions that we had on those days. During those meetings, council was presented with the operating and capital budgets along with the enhancements that were included for both, operating enhancements that were both included in the proposed budget, but also those that we were not able to include in the proposed budget while trying to keep in line with the mayor's budget directive and also keeping the tax rate increase at a level that we felt council would be comfortable with, given the significant pressures that we were facing this year. So in that budget proposal, we had an overall tax levy of $17.3 million, which resulted in a 5.8% tax increase. It is worth noting that a large portion of that was directly related to the cost of the OPP, while the remainder was highlighted the needs of the municipality. So the town's portion of the operating budget was largely focused on maintaining our existing services while prioritizing health, safety, and our legal requirements. The capital budget, on the other hand, was funded, the portion that was funded through the levy saw significant investments into fire services and replacements of our heavy fleet and equipment, all which were well beyond their useful life. In addition to the capital levy, the budget also included a number of projects that didn't come directly from the taxpayer. And that was a request that had also come out of the mayor's budget directive. So we looked at ways to include investments that didn't hit the levy and didn't hit the taxpayers directly. And some of those included upgrades to the soccer field, the in-town trail development, and revitalization of Market Square. So those were funded through things like non-tax revenues like DCs, reserves, dedicated parkland funds, and the sale of underutilized lands and properties. So just in summary, overall, given the circumstances that municipality had faced throughout the budget year, we were quite pleased with the ways that the budget had come together. We think we've covered a lot of needs that the municipality had in 2026, primarily in our capital. Our operating, as we've mentioned, is really just trying to maintain status quo while incorporating the overall budget pressures that come with that. We're all seeing that in our day-to-day, and our costs just continue to rise. So operating was really just status quo, while capital saw some good investment into our assets that were in need of replacement. I have not a ton else to add here unless council has questions specifically on any of the items that were included in the budget, any of the enhancements. Me and the team are here to answer any questions that council may have. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thanks, Ellen. Marvelous job. Is there any questions of Ellen with respect to the report that's in front of us or her presentation here today? Seeing none, and I know, Ellen, you worked extremely hard on this as well as your team and the rest of the senior leadership team and Mr. Grant. We've been through all these and we've talked to the numbers, we've seen the numbers. So I appreciate you being direct to the point and saying this is what we've talked about, and I appreciate that. So if there's no further questions or comments, we'll look for a motion to note and receive the Financial and IT Services 2026 budget report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Martin. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Waste Diversion Committee allocation, Councillor Martin, is the next matter on the agenda. And Councillor Martin, did you want to speak to that first? We'll give you the opportunity to speak to that first.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you want to put it on the floor first, or do you want me to speak to it? Or
if you wanted to speak to it briefly, then we'll put the motion on the floor, the staff recommendation. But
all right.
we'll see if we have any comments or questions for you first.
Okay, thank you. The reason I asked to have this put back into the budget is that our Waste Diversion Committee has various projects in mind to try to get people into recycling mode a little more, and possibly a composting situation, and also just to educate people on the new recycling system. And if we can get more recycling out of garbage, we're going. So basically what I'm saying is I'd appreciate if council would look at this as not as an expense item, but as an investment in the community, because I know our Waste Diversion Committee has spent hundreds and hundreds of hours researching, making contacts with other communities. And if we can get more out of garbage, more into recycling, our bill at the end of each quarter or each month, I'm not sure what we get billed at, but would be more just because our weights are going to decrease. So that's what we've been working on. We need the $3,000 in the budget. Like I say, for educational purposes, we need that to achieve our goals of waste diversion. It doesn't affect the levy because I'm proposing that it comes out of the stabilization reserve fund. $3,000 is a small amount, and it's going to show a return as far as I can almost guarantee council that it's going to show a return in the long run. So that's basically my spiel. I really think it's important to the waste diversion community that we put the $3,000 into the budget. And like I say, it's not going to affect the levy 1 cent because the stabilization reserve fund is there. I think partially this is what it was meant to do. So there you have it.
Thank you, Bill. Well done. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Bill with respect to his presentation? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that the 2026 operating budget be amended to include the $3,000 request from the Waste Diversion Advisory Committee to engage in the creation and planning of a waste diversion promotion, education, and engagement campaign. With this amendment to be funded from the General Stabilization Reserve, and further that council update the committee's mandate letter to include expectations that the committee undertake a waste diversion, education, and engagement campaign. And Bill's going to make that by way of motion. Seconded by Councillor Hicks. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the presentation or the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, and I just want to thank Councillor Martin for bringing this up. I think the timing on this is probably very good with the change in the recycling process that we have, not just in this municipality, but in the province as well. So any help that we can get to try and get that message out, I think is probably not a bad thing. So if there's nothing further, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Is there any additional budget amendments from the floor this evening? If there isn't, seeing none, we've got a number of options, and one of the options this evening is that we can look for a motion to end the amendment period and call a special meeting. So I guess what that means is if we're content and we don't believe that there's going to need to be any changes to the budget as it sits this evening, we'll look for a motion to I guess.
Direct it to 30-day.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You've said it much better. And I was going to be direct that the 30-day amendment period that we are legislated to have can be amended to the point where we can just adopt the budget this evening. So, Deputy Mayor Calver.
I'll make that by way of motion for sure.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Deputy Mayor Calver that Councillor direct that the 30-day revision period of the 2026 budget be ended effective immediately. Seconded by Councillor Norrie. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And once again, Alan, I know I've said it already, but I just want to thank you and your staff and the senior leadership team for making the budget process for 2026 very easy for us. It was very easy to understand, and we covered a lot of ground in this budget. You know, we've increased our heavy fleet is something that we had to do, but in the same time, we've also been able to do some fun stuff, which is to redo a soccer pitch, which has been long overdue, which we've talked about for the last 2 or 3 years and haven't been able to do it. And the other thing is in-town trails. We're going to create some in-town trails, which we've had a lot of conversations about. So I appreciate all the work that you've done and you know, personally guiding me through this as well that you have, because sometimes I'm not the easiest person to guide through it. So thank you for you, your staff, and the senior leadership team, and Mr. Grant for all the work that they've done in this budget process. So thanks again. Moving on. Next matter on the agenda is Parks, Recreation, and Culture, MOU with Rotary Club of Napanee. And Mr. Brown, I think you're going to speak to that.
Thank you, Your Worship. So on August 26, 2025, Council heard a deputation from the Rotary Club of Napanee. They are seeking to work with Town Council and staff, as well as the Market Square Advisory Committee, to develop plans and fundraise for a structure to be erected outside at the back of Town Hall on the portion of the property off Center Street to provide a cover/roof over the section that is earmarked for the farmers market and other activities. This covered roof would be the Rotary Club's gift to the town to underscore their club's centennial year in 2026. At that meeting, council directed staff to work with the Rotary Club to develop an MOU regarding the proposed centennial project of a covered market space in Market Square and report back to council for approval. So town staff have met with the Rotary Club on multiple occasions, bounced some feedback back and forth. Thank Mr. Grant for the original draft of the MOU and the Rotary Club for their work in providing feedback and making edits to that. So the revised MOU is presented to you this evening for your review, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Once approved, the MOU will influence design work, which will be undertaken simultaneously with the town hall's interior renovation project. As part of the design process, many stakeholders, including the Market Square Advisory Committee, the Heritage Committee, Rotary Club of Napanee, and the LNA Chamber of Commerce will collaborate to bring a final recommendation to council for approval. When the design and costing have been determined, the town and the Rotary Club of Napanee will enter into a contribution agreement that will finalize some of these terms and conditions. Rotary Club intends to contribute a minimum of $125,000 over the course of 5 years. Which is very exciting. The next step, so both parties agree to aim for a construction start date in late 2026 following consultation. We're hopeful that we can get a lot of the design work completed this year with a completion as soon as reasonably practical. With that, I won't go through the entire MOU, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thanks, Chris. Is there any questions or comments for Chris with respect to the report, the MOU, or his presentation? Seeing none, I just want to thank you, Chris, for the work that you've done on this. This is an exciting time. When we started talking about the revitalization of the Market Square, we weren't sure where we were going with this, but now all of a sudden all the pieces are starting to fall into place here. So I think this would be a great addition to the back of Town Hall, and it's going to complement our market, which is hit the road running this year. So and only going to get better. So thank you again. So we do have a recommendation that council receive for information the Parks, Recreation, and Culture MOU with Rotary Club of Napanee report. The council authorized the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding, and further that council authorized that a contribution agreement be drafted within the terms of the MOU, that the mayor be authorized to sign the agreement, and that the signed agreement be included on a council agenda at the earliest opportunity. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks again, Chris. Executive Services requested amendment to Public Health Lease at 99 Advance Avenue. I see Madam Clerk going to the front. So Jess, whenever you're ready, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, through your worship. This report is partially just for community and council awareness of the public health unit's intentions towards their space in our community, and also given that we are still in the process of developing our leasing policy. I believe CAO Grant brought a draft policy to council at a recent meeting. We thought we should bring this to council just to get your approval of this proposed course of action. In short, the health unit is now, they had initially given us a notice of termination effective March 31st. The budget was presented on the assumption that they would no longer be in there after that date. They have subsequently submitted a request to continue their lease, but on amended terms with a reduced footprint in the building and therefore a reduced cost. Staff believe this is in the best interest of the community because it would let us maintain the vaccine clinics and the fridge for well water testing, and any other services they might wish to offer there through that office space. But we are seeking council's approval for that. And if you have any other questions about this change.
Great, thanks, Jess. Is there any, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Comer.
Thank you, through your worship. So they want to reduce it down to, where was it, 400 and change a month for the remainder of their lease. What happens when that lease comes up? Are they going to pack their bags and leave as they were going to do the end of December or end of March, or are they going to continue on?
So through your worship, in the proposed terms, it would be the same as our other tenants. There's an option to negotiate a renewal in the final year of the lease. If both parties are in agreement, then we would execute a renewal if they still wanted to be there. And we would hope to keep them there in our building and in our community, but that's a year down the road.
Go ahead, Mr. Grant.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I will say that myself, Mr. Brown, and Ms. Walters met with the public health team. And so it does represent a significantly reduced footprint within the building. It's essentially a room to keep the vaccines as well as the front reception area. And as a building tenant, it still allows them access to the large meeting space to run vaccine clinics. I'm quite supportive of it. I do know that the public health unit has had some challenges to navigate since they've merged the different units into one single unit. As they're looking to reduce cost wherever they can, this was a way they felt they could do that while still maintaining service to the community. And generally this results in people not having to travel to Kingston for vaccines. And I think that's where the win is for residents. And of course, we would take a look at the space that is remaining, decide and make some recommendations about what could be done with that space. I'm sure there's lots of needs. We may want to either lease it out, or we do have some other needs in the municipality, but that would be a decision for a later date.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
Yeah, no, I was I just see it as quite a reduction. I didn't, I nothing against the health unit. I just know they were going to pull the pin and leave, and now they're staying, and now they're wanting to, they're the ones kind of constantly calling as to how things are going to work out here. I just see that rent as very, very reasonable, but that's, if that's what staff recommendation is, they're better at this than I am.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Grant.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the other thing I would also add is the cost per square foot is the same. So it's not an actual dollar reduction per square foot. The cost is reflective of a reduction of square feet that they'll be occupying. So we haven't necessarily recommended a discounted rate. That would be sort of contrary to the leasing policy that we brought forward. What we have discussed with them and are recommending is a reduction in the overall square footage that they occupy, which is itself directly resulting in a reduced rate.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calver. Is there any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I have a comment and maybe a question. Is somebody going to be maintaining the help desk on the health side continually, or is that only going to happen when they have a clinic or something going on?
I think Mr. Grant wants to answer that. Go ahead, Matthew.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, that is, to our understanding, is to be determined. We know from discussions with them, and our understanding is while there are those clinics that will be staffed, and I believe they're working out the logistics of how else that space will be used. They only indicated to us that they wish to continue to have a presence.
Thank you. I was just a little bit concerned that if they don't staff it 5 days a week, our staff is going to be taking on part of their role when somebody comes in with questions and whatever. So that was part of my, the other thing is more of a comment. And I think we have to do it just to maintain the services to our residents, but it concerns me that we're always asked to pay for a service for other communities, because this is going to be used by more than just Napanee residents. It's going to be, it's Kingston, Frontenac, LNA, Prince Edward County. So I'm concerned about that part of it, actually, that we're paying, our taxpayers are paying for a service for other communities. So we always seem to be continually on the wrong end of asking for these types of, but like I said, I don't want our residents to lose any services either. So we may be stuck with that part of it, but I don't have to be happy with it.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Grant.
through you, Mr. Mayor, I think, I don't know that we're necessarily paying us for other municipalities. I think the benefit is, maintenance of vaccine clinics here, which will primarily be for our residents. I would say the only benefit other municipalities may be getting is that the vaccine supply chain in this immediate area of 41 and the like will come through Napanee. But I don't anticipate that other municipalities will be getting a direct benefit from the use of our space other than that.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'm glad you brought up Billy. That was my concern as well. And I'm hopeful, let's put it, I'm hopeful that our staff aren't going to do any more than what they're doing now. Obviously, the concern is if it's not staffed 5 days a week, there's a possibility there, but I'm sure Mr. Grant and the senior leadership team will be monitoring that fairly closely. So, and it's a little bit refreshing in the fact that the health unit has now realized that it's important to have a brick and mortar type of facility within our community, that you just cannot do it remotely. So, I mean, that's a little bit refreshing there. So, but I guess it'll be a wait and see. We'll see how it all plays out. So, is there anything else? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that Council receive for information executive services requested amendment to the public health lease at 99 Advance Avenue report, and further that Council support the amendment to reduce the footprint occupied at the Southeast Health Unit, and further that Council authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute the amending agreement. Moved by Councillor Davey, seconded by Councillor Shank. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Executive services supplemental information regarding MAT rates. And Madam Clerk, you're going to deal with that one as well.
Yes, so through your worship, at our meeting last week, Council asked just for some comparators with MAT rates. So in the first section, those are the municipalities that we have consistently been looking at through this process since they are in our immediate vicinity. And we had started using them before Council adopted an official comparator list. And then below that, we also added in anyone on our comparator list who wasn't already in the report, as well as other RTO 9 municipalities who have a MAP bylaw in place. In general, based on these numbers, staff are continuing to recommend a 4% MAT rate as our starting point. However, this is entirely Council's discretion. And a 5% would also be within the range of what we're seeing in the area around us.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Gower.
Thank you, through your worship. I'm noticing that most of our competitors that we're now using for comparisons are all like 5-6%, with the exception of Midland is still at 4%. I see a lot of these at 4% that have been there since 2019. Would we not just be wise just to go to 5% instead of having a 4% this year and then do a bump next year? I'm just trying to stay, within reason, because I don't know how long these other ones are going to keep theirs at 4%. Just a food for thought. We've got a list of comparators that we want to use for everything else, and our comparators are well above the 4%. So, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Gower. Go ahead, Jessica.
Thank you. And just to clarify, Brockville, Cornwall, and Ottawa are not on our comparator list. They're just there because they're in the same tourism region as us. There's not a ton of MAT in southwestern Ontario, which is where some of our other comparators are from. So Midland, Brighton, Cobourg were the municipalities on our comparator list that are also on this report and have an accommodation tax in place.
Thanks, Jess. Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through you, your worship. I know that Brighton implemented this last year, started out at 5%, and they have no hotels. This is strictly on registered Airbnbs, so short-term accommodation. And I would agree that 5% is probably the place to start and see how we make out with that. So I would make a motion to that effect, unless Deputy Mayor Calver wants to, in which case I'll second it.
Well, if you want, either you want to make the motion and second it, I do have a recommendation here that council receive for information the executive services supplemental information regarding MAT rates report. Further, that council confirm the desired accommodation tax rate for the initial MAT bylaw to be 5%. Councillor Hicks, Deputy Mayor Calver, is there any further comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, the motion is carried. Human Resources Services Levels Presentation. And Holly, I think you're going to deal with that one. So whenever you get settled in, the floor will be yours.
Hello, Council. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us today. The reason I'm in front of you is because as part of my mandate letter, I have been asked to produce an HR service standards document, which I'm presenting to you here today. Many of you have seen two of these styles of presentations before, as Parks, Recreation and Culture and Emergency Services have already gone before me. So I'm just following in their path and keeping in line, trying to set expectations of what the services from my division is going to be. So I've got a presentation up on the screen for everyone to follow. Please feel free to ask questions during the presentation if you have them. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer anything you have at the end. So, and please forgive me, I'm going to do a bit of remote choreography here likely, but I will figure it out by the end, I'm sure. So we're going to start off with our general overview of the HR department. So the Human Resources Department is committed to fostering respectful, inclusive, safe, and high-performing workplace that supports the town's strategic goals and values. Overall, we're guided by the principles of integrity, accountability, transparency, and collaboration. We're a strategic partner for our organization, and we, as many of you can imagine, work with every level of the organization, from council down to our frontline staff. That's the beauty of this role, and we're very lucky to be a part of it. Our group is funded solely through our general tax levy, and currently we sit at 2.5 staff. It's at 1/2 because we share our human resources coordinator, payroll and benefits with the finance department, as well as myself, the HR manager, and our compliance coordinator / CEMC. That makes up our HR team. We have a number of guiding authorities. I won't list them all here for you today because they're on the screen, but because of the diversity of the work that we do within payroll, emergency management, HR management, there's a number of guiding principles and authority that we have to adhere to. It helps keep us on the straight and narrow and making sure that the town's running in a way that's legally and ethically in line with what our expectations are. Next, I'm going to chat about our general service descriptions. So these are the overall very high-level buckets that HR works within. I'm going to quickly, I apologize. I'm going to quickly go over each of the buckets, and then I'm going to go deep into some specific service standards throughout the rest of the presentation. So overall, our general service buckets look like strategic human resources management, recruiting and staffing, employee and labor relations, compensation, payroll and benefits, health, safety and legislative compliance, training and development, employee wellness and engagement, disability management, and emergency management. So on the next couple of slides, I'm going to go into specifically some of the service standards that we will try to achieve in our role in our division. And again, happy to answer any questions on each slide or at the end. So first, under our strategic HR management, our goal is to align our HR practices with corporate goals through workforce planning, policy development, and organizational support. We achieve this by doing advisory and planning support to leadership and each of the departments. Our target is an annual policy review, if not more frequently as needed, and the development of policies to be in line with where our organization is headed. And the resource allocated to this specific task is myself as the HR manager. I won't go through each of them in as much detail as I just did with this, but generally that's how you're going to see each of these slides work going forward. So next, you're going to see recruitment and staffing. HR is responsible for all of the recruitment and staffing and the hiring process end to end for each individual coming into our organization. That's everything from our summer students to our full-time employees. There's a number of targets that are set in this process, from posting the jobs, making sure the offer letters get out, informing those who apply for our jobs so we don't just leave them hanging wondering if they got the position or not. We strive to make these deadlines tight and close together just to keep the ball rolling and moving forward as quickly as possible. This is a job that both the payroll coordinator and I work on hand in hand. Next is our employee management and our employee and management relations. So as you can imagine, HR works very closely with our management teams as well as our employees, building relationships, keeping them in line with our ever-changing world of HR, our policies, and those types of supports. We provide timely and confidential support to all HR-related matters to employees and management. Our services are that we are responsive, confidential support to all, and we do on-demand coaching and advisory for managers should they need it for their staffing. In a perfect world, managers and staff are able to deal with these things on their own, but we know everybody's brains are already full of their job, taking care of their duties and responsibilities, so we're able to do some of that heavy lifting for them to make sure that they have the information that they need when they need it. Next is labor relations. So as it stands right now, I manage all aspects of our union relationships, including grievance handling, collective bargaining, contract interpretation, arbitration, and labor negotiations. This obviously is part of a team with the department head who is in charge of that group. We provide timely, fair, and consistent labor relations support throughout the process, and we follow the guidelines as set in our union collective agreements in terms of timelines and how we follow those processes. Next is compensation, payroll, and benefits. I'm going to speak to this one just very quickly because this obviously falls more in line with our finance and IT services. However, our HR coordinator does the payroll, so we see a lot of that on our side, as well as the benefit administration portion of it all. So we process our benefits, our pensions, and keep people in line with their compensation throughout the year to ensure that we're within our standards and the goals that we're trying to set as an organization. Our target is a biweekly payroll and responding to any inquiries about benefits, compensation, or pensions within 3 days of receiving that request. Next is our health, safety, and compliance. So our service description in this area is coordinating occupational health and safety programs, WSIB claims, Sun Life claims, and legislative compliance. Obviously, we want to be proactive in this area to make sure we're getting ahead of any problems before they come. But emergencies happen, which we'll see on a different slide, which fits into a different service level. Our targets are monthly safety checks of all of our spaces where our employees work, as well as immediate critical incident response and responding within 72 hours for non-critical incidents. Next, we have training and development. So our division focuses on the training and development at an organizational level. Think first aid, mental health first aid, those types of overarching trainings. Managers can also lean on us to look for additional training if they're looking for something more specific. We're happy to reach out and figure out what those could look like if they're looking for some additional help. We want accessible and relevant training opportunities for our staff, as well as making sure we're meeting that minimum compliance level to make sure our staff are well informed going forward. This includes an annual training calendar and completing onboarding for new employees to make sure they have a thorough understanding of what our expectations are going forward. Next, we have employee wellness and engagement. This is promoting employee well-beings through wellness initiatives, engagements, strategies, recognition programs. Last year, we saw an uptick in this with certain areas like our EAP, which is our employee assistance program, offering Perkopolis to our staff, as well as doing some benefit education around Sun Life. Our goal and our target going forward is to do monthly educational opportunities for our staff, or as they arise, just to make sure if a pension opportunity comes up or there's a benefit learning opportunity, that our staff are getting those opportunities to participate, learn, and educate themselves from the jump. Next, we have emergency management. So emergency management is supporting the town's emergency response plan, ensuring that our EOC is up-to-date training and that they're prepared and understand the roles and responsibilities of their duties should an emergency ever happen in our organization. Our target is to plan, execute annual emergency exercises by the Q3 each year. So that's making sure we're meeting that minimum training standard. And then it gives us a little bit of wiggle room in case we want to do any additional training in that Q4 sector. Our compliance coordinator takes that all on her own and just with any additional support if she needs it, but she seems to have it well underhand. So we're very happy with that area. Next is performance management. So as many of you know, we did a new performance management system in 2025, which we executed and completed in December of last year. Overall, really good feedback from our team, and that's something that as part of our service levels, we're going to be continuing each year. It's going to be structured and consistent performance so our employees know what to expect and our managers know what's expected of them during that process going forward. And finally, we have our accessibility, our AODA compliance. This is a massive part of the role that we do and something that's going to continue to grow every year. So ensuring that our HR practices and policies meet the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act and promote inclusive employment. Our goal is to continue to do ongoing compliance and accessibility improvements and reviewing our policies each year to ensure that we're in line with where the province and the country is going in lines of accessibility. So our final thoughts are that through these services, the HR department plays a vital role in supporting the town's strategic priorities and fostering a positive, productive workplace culture. We're committed to continuous improvement, legislative compliance, and delivering high-quality services to both staff and our leadership. Our goal is to ensure that the town of Greater Napanee remains an employer of choice and a great place to work. I want to thank you all for your time and just a quick shout out to my team. I want to thank them for all the hard work that they do because none of this would be possible without them, and happy to feed any questions should you have them.
Great, thanks. Holly, is there any questions for Holly with respect to the report or the presentation before us? Yep, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Holly, the service types and service levels, that's reviewed yearly, correct?
Yes, correct.
So all I'm saying is if things change in the business model, all right, and levels need to be changed or types need to be changed, then the municipality still has that option. So as long as we have that, then yeah, no problem.
Through your worship, the service standards are set by council. So at any point, should you choose that that I'm not meeting the expectations of the service, you want to increase the service or you want to decrease the service at any time, that's council's prerogative, and we can change those levers at any time.
Yep, go Mike.
Yeah, I understood that. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear because of future things that might be happening. The other question is, and it's probably with Ellen, the FIRs for 2024, are they, I just want to say, because the reason why everything is going so smooth, because, you know, and financially we have excellent staff, and with your bookkeeping and everything else now everything, I just want to see how fast we're getting caught up on some of those other items.
Thank you, Worship, to Councillor Shank. Yeah, the 2024 FIR, we just got the draft back from the auditors today. I expect that'll be submitted to the ministry by the end of the week, and the financial statements will be presented to council on Tuesday evening.
this is only getting better. I love that the answers are already there. You know what I mean? So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shank. Go ahead, Mr. Grant, then I'll go to Councillor Norris.
Great. Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. The other thing for council to consider about service levels overall, you'll notice that all, if not most, of the services have service targets. The goal will be to measure those year over year to see how we're tracking towards the levels that we're trying to maintain. And if we have challenges maintaining those, then we'll come to you and make recommendations either in relation to service levels or staffing or that sort of thing. But the goal with that is we'll measure them. And then also if council has an idea to change a service, it will act as a tool to tell you what your levers are in terms of changing the service, either increasing, decreasing, what the impacts are. So that's the way it'll be used.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. You just want to respond to that, Mike, and then I'll go to Councillor Norrie. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you and your team. Two of us on council were here 2019, and it was the first thing we identified, and it's been a fight. And I'm just so happy to see morale seems good. People know what they're doing, and it's been something we observed coming from large organizations that had human resources to now. And so thank you very much. It's well deserved, and thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Norrie. Well said. Go ahead, Mike.
The other one is in the 2025 budget, there was $50,000 for training. Is there anything for training in the 2026 budget that, I wasn't reading through your report. So all I'm saying is and you're saying, what is that?
Through your worship. So each department has individualized training budgets within their own departments. HR does have some specific to health and safety training.
So Holly, then what is your 2026 budget for health and safety training then?
Through your worship, if I'm correct, I believe it's around $10,000 for organizational health and safety training.
So
You got her? Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Is there anything else? Councillor Hicks.
Good job, Holly. There's only 2.5 of you in that department, and I would imagine every day is a full day. So, and you're to be commended on everything that in particular was accomplished up until 2026. So, thanks.
Thanks, Ange. Is there anything else? Seeing none, we've got a couple options here. We can adopt the service levels this evening if everyone is content with what they've seen here this evening, or we can defer it if there's anybody wants to think about it. I know Mike brought up a good point is that these types of things are very fluid, and as we move through, if we see something that has to be changed, we're going to change it anyways. So it may work very good for a number of months or a number of years, or it may not work very good for a number of hours, right? So, but as we do with most of our processes, or all our processes as far as that goes, is that when we see something that needs to be fixed, we fix it. And that's the wonderful thing about this. So in any event, the recommendation we do have is that council receive report SR 1198-2026 for information, and council directs that the service types and service levels be adopted, and that service types and standards form part of the human resources service standards delivered by the Greater Napanee Human Resources team. Moved by Councillor Norrie, seconded by Councillor Martin. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, the motion is carried, and I'll look for a motion to confirm the proceedings. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Ready first, second, and finally passed this third day of February 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion is carried, and motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion is carried. Thanks, folks. Again, another productive evening, and we'll see you next week for a regular session of council.